Waitress exposes billionaire's harassment. You won't believe the amazing twist with his father. The bell above the door jingled, a familiar sound announcing yet another day in the diner. Sarah wiped her hands on her apron, her tired eyes catching the shimmer of neon lights. Another hectic lunch rush awaited her at Joe's Diner, the heartbeat of this small Midwestern city where every booth told a story. But this day was different. The air felt thicker, charged with expectation as Jack Morgan swaggered in, his polished shoes gleaming under the fluorescent lights. At first, Jack's charm swept through the diner like a summer breeze. He dropped bills that made everyone gasp and wore a smile that made hearts flutter except for Sarah's. As a single mother to Lily, the last thing she wanted was a distraction, especially not one as dangerous as Jack. But the tips were nice, and they provided for her little girl. Meanwhile, her parents, veterans and proud as they were, filled her cramped apartment with their hopes and dreams for a better life. She needed this job. Days turned to weeks. Jack's demeanor shifted, from charming to predatory. The clinking of plates and murmured conversations around her faded when Jack leaned too close, his breath hot against her ear. His advances made her skin crawl, but she couldn't say anything, not with bills piling up and her family depending on her. So she started documenting his behavior, taking notes on napkins in the quiet moments between serving food. One day, as she filled the coffee pot, Sarah noticed Bill sitting in his usual corner booth, nursing his third cup. Lost in thought, he looked every bit the humble regular he was, a stark contrast to his estranged son wreaking havoc outside. It was here, amidst late-night conversations after shifts ended, that Sarah's heart began to soften toward Bill. He spoke of his regrets, his failures as a father, and the ache of maintaining his dignity while estranged from Jack. Before they knew it, tension brewed like the heavy aroma of coffee in the air. Jack's arrogance grew, leaving Sarah feeling like an ant beneath a boot. Then, that fateful day arrived. During the lunch rush, armed with righteous indignation and the notes she had collected, Sarah confronted Jack, her voice steady yet fierce amidst the chaos of clinking forks and bubbling laughter. "Your entitlement ends today," she declared, catching the attention of every diner around them. Bill's eyes widened, conflicted as he watched the storm brewing outside his control. Around them, patrons gasped, whispers filled the room. "Did you see that? I can't believe she did that." The whole diner seemed to hold its breath. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The air thick with tension, Jack faltered as Sarah called him out for his behavior. Bill could feel the weight of his son's actions pressing down on him, and he stood still, caught between guilt and pride. The diner had become a stage, and Sarah was the performance, her courage shining as bright as the neon lights overhead. Just as the culmination of the moment threatened to implode, Jack started to crumble under the weight of her accusations. With Sarah standing tall, resolute, a truth lingered in the air, one that not only threatened Jack's arrogance but also held the key to Bill's redemption. Would the diner's heartbeat echo stories of resilience or repeat the cycle of despair? Sarah's eyes met Bill's, igniting a question that could change everything. Could their intertwined destinies pave the path to justice both for her and for him? The diner waited, in breathless anticipation, ready for the next chapter to unfold. The stillness hung in the air, electric with unspoken words. Sarah felt her heart racing, pounding almost audibly in her chest. Jack's face twisted into a scowl, mouth opening and closing as if words were trapped inside him, struggling to escape. His arrogance, once confident, now flickered like a flame caught in a windstorm. "I'm not the one you should be scared of." Jack spat, his voice low and venomous. The effect was immediate. Whispers crept through the diner, murmurs of disbelief emanating from every corner. Sarah held her ground, each breath filled with both fear and determination. She had stood up once. There was no backing down now. Bill, still in his corner booth, felt a surge of mixed emotions. He had spent years feeling helpless, unable to connect with Jack, watching from a distance as his son spiraled further into darkness. But now, here was Sarah, a spark igniting a fire that had long been extinguished in him. He made his decision. It was time to re-enter the battle, even if it was against his own flesh and blood. Jack, Bill's voice rose above the chaos, steady and unyielding. You've crossed a line, and you need to hear this. The diner quieted to a hush, all eyes now on him. The weight of the moment settled heavily on everyone, especially on Jack's shoulders. Your entitlement and arrogance have cost you. You've chased everyone away. Your mother, Bill's voice broke momentarily. He swallowed hard, pushing his emotions aside. Your mother had hopes for you, and it pains me that you've abandoned them. Jack recoiled, the recognition flashing in his eyes as if a spotlight had illuminated a hidden truth. But he masked it with anger, fists clenching at his sides. You're not my dad, you're a ghost of the past. You don't get to lecture me. But Sarah saw it, the flicker of shame crossing Jack's face. She decided to press on. No, but he is still here. And he is giving you a chance to change the narrative. You have a choice, she declared, fire in her voice. The diner buzzed with 1,000 reactions, patrons nodding and whispering supportive phrases. Jack's bravado started to melt, his shoulders slumping ever so slightly. Why do you care, anyway? You're just the waitress, he muttered, the fight in him dissipating. Because I've seen good people crushed by your whims, Sarah replied, emotion spilling into her words. I've fought for my kid every day, just like Bill fought for you. You can choose to be better. The spectators cheered inwardly for Sarah, who stood her ground strong as a rock, yet in her chest, doubt lingered. Could her plea reach someone so entrenched in entitlement? There was an echo of hope in the air, a flicker of possibility for both Jack and Bill. Suddenly, Jack turned, storming out of the diner, the bell jingling furiously behind him. Silence enveloped the diner then, as if the world outside had stopped with him. All eyes slowly shifted to Bill and Sarah, a shared breath of anticipation lingering in the air. What would Jack do now? Did I go too far? Sarah whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Bill reached over, placing a reassuring hand over hers, the warmth sparking something they had both desperately needed: connection. No. You gave him a chance. His words felt heavy and hopeful at the same time, muted by the lingering tension in the room, but as the diner returned to its normal rhythm, they both knew this wasn't over. Jack would have to make a choice about the legacy he wanted. His actions could ripple back into their lives, potentially reuniting or breaking them further apart. With that lingering uncertainty between them, the sudden jingle of the bell out front announced another arrival. Could fate be throwing them another curveball? The atmosphere thickened again, and both Sarah and Bill exchanged wary glances, knowing that this might just be the moment that lined up their paths for the ultimate confrontation. Who stepped in next? What secrets could they unveil? The door swung open, the bell ringing with a sharp clarity that broke the simmering tension. A figure stepped inside, silhouetted against the sunlight. The diner's harsh overhead lights flickered on her dark curls, shimmering like an aura around her. Lila. Sarah's voice caught in her throat, unease washing over her. It was Jack's sister, and she hadn't seen her in years. The last time Lila had visited, the family was still intact, laughter filling their home. Now, the air turned thick with unspoken words and old wounds, both between her and Bill, and between the siblings. Lila hesitated at the entrance, scanning the diner. Her eyes widened when she spotted Bill. Dad? She breathed. The silence was replaced with the soft murmur of patrons trying to process the unexpected scene. Bill stood, jarring the table with his sudden movement. Lila. I didn't expect you. His voice trembled, a mix of surprise and regret. I heard about Jack, she said, stepping deeper into the diner, her voice steady despite the unmistakable quiver. I came to see him. I thought maybe I could talk some sense into him. Talking sense into Jack is a full-time job, Sarah said gently, trying to lighten the mood. But it fell flat, a reminder of the weight they all carried. Let me try, Lila insisted, determination sharpening her features. I know my brother. There's still part of him that wants to feel loved, to be accepted. She looked directly at Bill, her gaze softening. You've got to give him a chance too, Dad. We all do. Bill nodded, swallowing hard. You're right, Lila. He needs to realize that none of us gave up on him, even when he thought we did. He felt a flicker of hope ignite within him, a unity forming in their shared desperation to save Jack from himself, but Sarah felt the shift in the room. The hope that heralded promise had a matching shadow of fear of failure, of losing Jack completely. I want to help, but after today what if he won't listen to either of you? Then we try again, Lila replied firmly, glancing around. The diner patrons, once busy with their meals, were now drawn into the moment, caught between the family dynamic unraveling right before them. The intensity of her statement hung heavy in the air. Sarah's heart beat in sync with the heavy feeling settling in her chest. What if this was their last chance? What if Lila's approach failed where hers had not? Bill pulled Lila into a quick embrace. We'll convince him together. Let us not wait too long, he's on a dangerous path. The conviction in his voice rekindled something in Sarah. She wasn't alone in her fight for Jack. As Lila slid into the booth opposite her father, determination radiated from her. Let us give him time. But we need a plan, she said, her confidence seeping into the space and wrapping around them like a warm blanket. Moments crawled by as they discussed possibilities, the earlier tension morphing into a shared sense of purpose. But those plans remained an unformed thought, a fragile hope. Just then, the door jangled open again, and in stepped a harried-looking young man, bags under his eyes like he hadn't slept in days. Did I miss him? He asked, breathless. The desperation in his voice sliced through the air like a knife. Miss who? Bill asked, his posture tense. Jack. The young man, eyes wide, continued, I need to talk to Jack. It's important. The room buzzing with confusion, Sarah felt dread crawl up her spine. What could this newcomer want with Jack? The stakes were rising, and it seemed that fate had decided to throw all of them together for a reason. With the sirens of danger blaring in her mind, she exchanged worried glances with Bill and Lila. This wasn't just another chapter, it was the beginning of something much larger, maybe even irreversible. What was this young man hiding? And would Jack be ready to listen? The newcomer, a young man with messy hair and a worn hoodie, stood there, anxiety radiating off him in waves. Sarah tried to catch her breath, but it was stifled by an urgent need to know what this stranger wanted with Jack. The diner fell silent, all eyes fixed on the young man who emanated desperation like a broken compass seeking direction. Who are you? Bill asked, his voice steady but edged with protectiveness. My name's Kyle, he rushed, glancing around as if expecting Jack to walk in any second. I'm a friend of his. I need to speak to him. It's about something serious. Serious how? Lila interjected, her brow furrowed. You think Jack wants to see anyone right now? Kyle swallowed hard. Yes, he does, if you knew what I knew. His voice cracked, the weight of his words pressing down on the room. What do you mean? Just spit it out. Sarah snapped, the frustration boiling over, her heart thudding in her chest. She could feel the tension creeping back, dark and familiar. There's more to what's happening with Jack. He thinks he's all alone. He doesn't know how much everyone cares. Kyle's eyes gleamed with a mix of hope and despair. I have evidence. Something he needs to see. Evidence of what? Bill asked, leaning forward with a sense of urgency. It's about his past, and a threat that's made him spiral. If he doesn't see this, he'll push everyone away for good, Kyle said, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. I need you all to help me get through to him. With every word Kyle spoke, Sarah felt her heart race. Could this be the breakthrough they needed? But the flicker of hope was clouded by the fear of what might come next. Bill exchanged a look with Lila, and they both seemed to recognize the gravity of Kyle's words. But could they trust a stranger? "Where's Jack now?" Lila asked, her voice firm. "He's at the old bridge," Kyle replied, glancing back at the door, as if expecting Jack to follow him there. He needs to be reminded he's still loved." The sincerity in his voice tugged at something within her. "Why didn't you go to him? Why come here?" Bill pressed. "Because I was scared he wouldn't listen to me. Scared I wouldn't get through." "But you?" Kyle pointed at Lila, "You're his sister. You have to make him understand. Show him he's not just running away." Sarah could see determination etched on Lila's face. The kind of determination that ignited the courage to face whatever demons awaited them at the bridge. "What if he's not open to it?" Sarah asked, the gravity of Jack's potential refusal heavy in the air. "Then we make him listen," Lila stated, her voice steady. "He can't hide forever. We'll go together." Bill nodded, steeling himself for the challenge ahead. "Let us do it. We can't let him push us away any longer." Just then, the door jingled once more, and a gust of wind swept in. The summer air felt unseasonably cold as another presence entered the diner, an older woman, eyes solemn and tired but resolute. "Have you seen Jack?" she asked, her tone anxious. The small diner fell into a hush again, all eyes on this new arrival. In that moment, Sarah felt a fresh wave of fear crash over her. Who was this woman, and what did she know about Jack? As they all stood weighing their options, an undeniable sense of destiny charged through the air, the kind of feeling that foreshadowed a looming confrontation. They were not just on their way to save Jack, they were edging closer to uncovering dark truths. What did this older woman know? And how would her arrival change everything? The woman surveyed the diner, her gaze landing heavily on the group gathered around Kyle. "I need to find him," she insisted, urgency sharpening her voice. "Jack's been through too much. He can't keep running from his past." "Who are you?" Lila asked, her voice fragile yet firm, the protective instinct for her brother simmering beneath the surface. "My name is Margaret," the woman replied, taking a step closer, her hands shaking slightly. "I'm his mother." The revelation hit like a thunderclap, silencing the chatter and clattering of dishes. Sarah's stomach twisted. She stared at Margaret, the words painting a picture that felt both immediate and heart-wrenching. Could this woman really be Jack's mother? "Jack doesn't want to see you," Lila said bluntly. "He made that very clear." Margaret's eyes glistened with tears as she took a deep breath. "I know. But he needs to hear the truth, not just from me but from all of you." "What truth?" Kyle folded his arms tightly, a mixture of protectiveness for Jack and curiosity in his stance. "The truth that he's not alone. That we've all been carrying this weight, just in different ways," Margaret continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've been trying to reach him, to explain everything that happened and why things are the way they are." Sarah felt a wave of empathy soften her frustration. The woman looked frail yet fierce, and there was a pain in her eyes that spoke of years lost. "It's not just his trauma that matters," Kyle interjected gently. "Jack is teetering on a brink. He needs to know he is loved, that he truly has a family willing to fight for him." "And you think he'll listen to you?" Lila shot back, her heart pounding. She didn't want to believe that this woman could shake Jack's stubbornness, that her sudden appearance could somehow make a difference. "I don't know, but if we don't try now, we might lose him for good," Margaret replied, desperation cracking her otherwise steady voice. Waves of doubt crested in Sarah's mind. What did they really know about Margaret? What if she was right? A flicker of movement pulled everyone's attention back to the door. The wind howled again, and they all turned to see a figure emerging from the shadows outside. It was Jack, looking worn and vulnerable, his usual bravado nowhere to be found. Mom. His voice was low, almost breaking as he stepped into the diner. His eyes darted around, taking in the crowd gathered like a storm brewing. The tension in the room shifted, weaving dread and anticipation together. Margaret took a hesitant step toward him. Jack. I came to find you. Don't. His voice was a shield, raising barriers and walls. You can't just waltz in and act like everything's okay. As Jack's gaze flicked to Kyle, then Lila, Sarah felt her heart thump louder. Kyle had mentioned evidence, a reason for Jack to engage, to confront whatever demons lay in the darkness. She could sense the battle raging inside him, the war between anger and longing. Jack, Kyle urged, stepping forward. You need to hear what she has to say. I don't owe her anything, Jack spat out, his fists clenched. It felt like a boiling pot about to erupt. Then let me show you, Kyle said, the urgency blaring in his tone. You think you're alone, but we've all been waiting for you to come back. Don't you want to know why she's really here? A broken silence hung in the air, an electric charge ready to snap. What if all this time, you've been running from something far bigger than you thought? Kyle's voice dropped to a whisper, heavy with challenge. The moment felt suspended. Would Jack lean into the chaos, or would he turn away again? With the weight of his past spiraling around him, the choice lay raw in front of him. Would he embrace the truth, or would he walk away yet again? The next heartbeat could change everything. Jack stood rigid in the doorway, torn between the past he desperately wanted to forget and the truth that threatened to unravel him. The air crackled with tension. Not a soul moved, everyone held their breath as if waiting for him to make the first move, a breath they all shared, heavy with compassion and despair. Margaret took another tentative step forward, her voice low but steady. Jack, please. I know this is a shock. I can't imagine what you're feeling right now, but I'm here to explain. You deserve to know. Every fiber of his being screamed to turn and run, to retreat into the shadows where pain didn't follow. But part of him, a flicker, a drip of hope, wondered if maybe this was his moment. Would it be so terrible to listen? Why now? Jack finally asked, his voice thick with skepticism. Why decide to be a mom again after all these years? Because I couldn't bear to lose you, she replied, tears pooling in her eyes. I thought I was protecting you, but I see now that I was only hurting you. I made mistakes, terrible mistakes. But it's never too late to mend what's broken. The heavy silence stretched, wrapping around them like an unwelcome cloak. Jack's heart raced, anger mixing with a confusion that felt almost unbearable. He caught Lila's eye, and she gave him a slight nod. It was a gentle push towards the thing he feared most. Jack, Kyle spoke up again, his concern palpable. You've been trying to cope with everything alone. Whatever it is that's haunted you, maybe this is the key to setting yourself free. Jack sighed, a deep breath that felt like dragging heavy weights behind him. The memories of loss, of betrayal, felt etched in his bones. Could he really trust this woman? But then again, what if she had answers he had long buried? Listen. I don't know if I'm ready for this, he said. But if there's even a chance, no, Lila cut him off, her voice rising defiantly. You can't let her manipulate you. You've fought your battles and you've come so far. Am I really fighting? Jack shot back, his emotions swelling. Or just running? Margaret seemed to dissolve at the intensity of his gaze. She swallowed hard, her composure flickering like a candle in a gust. Jack, please, let me explain what happened. I never meant to abandon you. You're the one who disappeared. Jack exclaimed, his voice rising in the din. How can I trust you now? I was a young woman caught in a cycle of fear and pain, she explained hurriedly, but I've been working hard to make amends and find you. I've spent years looking for the right moment to come back, to face what I lost. But did you even care? Jack's voice cracked. Did you ever even try? Margaret reached out, her hand trembling, as if she wanted to bridge the chasm between them. I know my words can't fix the years of hurt. But I came here hoping maybe, someday, you could find it in your heart to forgive me. In that moment, Jack felt a pressure behind his eyes that threatened to spill over. Memories collided in his mind, a confused child waiting and hoping, an angry young man pushing everyone away. The weight of it all bore down, and the silence around them thickened. How can I forgive, he choked out, when I don't even know what I'm supposed to forgive? Let me tell you, Margaret pleaded. Let me share my side. Now Jack stood at a crossroads, feeling like the ground beneath him was shifting. His heart pounded, a battle raging between hurt and the longing for resolution. Was he ready to hear what she had to say? What if her truth changed everything? Then, out of the corner of his eye, he caught Lila's worried glance, and he felt Kyle's unwavering support beside him. Maybe, just maybe. Okay, Jack finally whispered, feeling dread and hope entwined within him. I'll listen. The room shifted, a collective breath caught in anticipation. But just as Margaret opened her mouth to speak, a loud clap of thunder echoed outside, cutting through the charged atmosphere. Jack jumped, startled, as the diner lights flickered ominously. It was as if the universe had decided to intervene at the most pivotal moment. What? Now? Lila whispered, unease creeping back into her voice as the lights dimmed further, drowning them in semi-darkness. Jack felt his stomach twist. What else was lurking in the shadows ready to surface? The storm hadn't truly arrived yet, but he could feel it brewing. Would truth reveal itself amid the chaos, or would darkness once again tear apart their fragile moment? The diner seemed to hold its breath. The flickering lights cast uneven shadows on the walls, making it feel like they were all trapped in a silent movie. Jack's heart raced as he searched for answers in Margaret's eyes, but they were filled with a confusion that mirrored his own. Let us get to a safe spot, Kyle suggested, glancing over at the windows where sheets of rain poured down, pounding like an angry drummer. We can't have this conversation in the dark. No, Jack insisted, shaking his head. We need to talk right here. We're not running anymore. The weight of his words hung in the air, a vow and a challenge. Lila reached for his hand, fingers trembling, grounding him against the storm swirling outside and the tempest brewing inside. Okay, Margaret, he said with a tight voice. Tell me what happened. What were you running from? Margaret seemed to take a deep breath, as if to steady herself against the storm. It's not just about me. It's about your father, Jack. He was in a dark place. I thought I was protecting you from that darkness. But I was wrong. Jack's anger flared. You think hiding from him made things better? You think running away and leaving me behind was protecting me? Margaret flinched, the truth piercing her like an arrow. I was so scared, Jack. I didn't have the strength to fight him, to fight for us. I thought if I just disappeared, you would have a chance at a normal life. I was young and stupid. Stupid doesn't begin to cover it, Jack shot back, bitterness rising in his throat. You think I had a normal life? You think disappearing didn't tear me apart? I know, and I'm so sorry, Margaret said, her voice cracking under the weight of her guilt. Every day, I regretted not being there. I tried to reach out, but every time I did, I was met with walls built on pain. You could tried harder, he whispered, his emotion bubbling over into tears. I was alone and scared. I waited so long for you. All those birthdays you missed. I just wanted to know you cared. As the winds howled outside, a flash of lightning illuminated the diner for just a moment. Jack felt vulnerable and raw, every feeling spilling out. I can't forgive you if I don't know everything, Margaret, he said finally, his voice steadier now. What else have you kept from me? She hesitated, a flicker of fear passing over her face. There was something dark and heavy in the air, something she feared to say. There's more about your father, about what he did, she finally confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. It's worse than you think. He wasn't just a man struggling with his demons. He was dangerous, Jack. And if he finds out I'm here, what I've told you, he won't let it go. Anguish swirled within him, and he could feel the storm growing in intensity, threatening to unleash everything. What did he do? Margaret looked around, as if the shadows could swallow her whole. He hurt people, Jack. People you care about, she replied, her eyes wide with dread. He hurt me. I thought I could shield you from it, but it's always been there, lurking. A shiver ran down Jack's spine. The weight of her words pushed down on him, dark and heavy. The storm outside mirrored the tempest raging within his heart. He had never anticipated this truth. With relentless thunder booming outside, Jack felt anger, betrayal, and dread collide within him. Who else did he hurt? He demanded, leaning forward, desperate for answers, desperate for clarity. Tell me everything. Outside, the storm surged, and just like that, the power cut, plunging the diner into darkness. Jack was left in a void, unable to escape the abyss of questions that enveloped him. What else did his father hide? And who would fall victim to the darkness next? In the suffocating darkness, Jack's pulse thundered in his ears, dangerously close to drowning out the storm outside. The diner was eerily quiet now, shadows dancing and shifting, as if the very walls were alive and waiting for the next act. Margaret, he breathed, desperate for something tangible to ground him. You can't just leave it there. I need to know. A tense silence followed, the kind that draws out every moment until it feels like an eternity. He could hear Lila's breathing go shallow, just as scared as he was, and Kyle shifting uneasily in his seat. Listen, Margaret finally whispered, her voice cutting through the heavy air like a fragile thread. I didn't come to hurt you or to bring back the pain. I came because I thought you had the right to know the truth. What truth? Jack pressed, feeling the tremor in his voice. If there's more to this, you need to tell me everything right now. A shiver ran down his spine as he sensed her hesitation. I was afraid that he would come after you if he found out I was here, talking to you. Your father isn't just dangerous to me. He can be lethal if he feels cornered. Lethal how? Jack asked, heart racing, each beat echoing louder in the void of dark. Did he hurt someone? Did he? Yes, Margaret said, her voice trembling slightly. Everything I've done, every choice I made, was driven by fear of him. I hoped that if I kept you away, you'd never have to see it. But it seems I was wrong. What do you mean you were wrong? Jack snapped, frustration stretching taut within him. You should have trusted me. I can handle this. I'm not a kid anymore. Handling it would mean confronting the darkness yourself, Margaret replied, her tone thick with emotion. And I wouldn't wish that on you, Jack. You don't know what he is capable of. The lights flickered back on, humming to life as a dim glow returned to the diner. It illuminated the worried faces around them. Jack's attention fell back to Margaret, whose eyes were glistening with unshed tears. If he knew I was here, if he knew I was talking to you, she trailed off, shaking her head as if to banish the thoughts swirling in her mind. He'd come for me. And the last thing I want is for you to get caught in his crosshairs. A strange mixture of anger and concern swirled through Jack. He wanted to be strong for her, to show her he could handle the truth whatever that meant. Yet, uncertainty gnawed at him, tugging at the corners of his mind. Tell me about the people he's hurt, he said, urgency spilling out of him. I need to know who I'm dealing with. Who might be next? Margaret took a shaky breath, her voice barely above a whisper. There's more than one person, but the one who stays in my mind is someone you know very well. Your father, he hurt your mother. The revelation hit Jack like a freight train, leaving him breathless. His stomach lurched, and a chill ran through him as the weight of the word settled like a stone in his heart. My mother? He echoed, disbelief creeping into his voice. What do you mean? Margaret's gaze dropped to her lap, and Jack sensed the profound pain woven through her silence. She trusted him. Too readily. And he used that trust against her. More than once. Hints of betrayal flashed in Jack's mind, intertwining with the swirling emotions of anger and heartache. The man he thought he knew, the father he wished to understand, was a facade hiding something grotesque. But what if she fought back? What then? As the question escaped his lips, Jack felt the defiance well within him. What if fighting back is what I need to do? The defensive walls he had built around his heart began to tremble beneath the weight of this new reality. But what strength did he have against a man like his father? As thoughts raced through Jack's mind, he felt a surge of resolve rising within him, unyielding and fierce. I will protect those I care about, he vowed aloud, more to himself than anyone else. I won't let fear control my life anymore. What this newfound anger and resolve would lead to, he didn't know. But as he glanced around the diner at the determined expressions on his friends' faces, he felt emboldened. Let us find out the truth, once and for all. Together. Jack turned back to Margaret, pinning her with a fierce look. You'll help me, won't you? Tension crackled in the air as Margaret nodded hesitantly. But before any more could be said, a loud crack of thunder resonated through the diner, barely masking the sound of a car door slamming outside. Jack's heart skipped a beat as he glanced at the diner's entrance, a shadow stepping out into the dull light. Who could that be in a storm like this? And were they friend or foe? The door swung open, and Jack squinted against the stark light from the outside, heart hammering in his chest. A figure emerged, drenched from the downpour, their silhouette thick with uncertainty. The storm's howl thundered, drowning out the muffled sound of the diner's chatter. Who? Jack started, half rising from his seat, but the figure took another step forward, revealing a familiar face. Danny? Jack breathed, the weight of recognition hitting hard. His friend stood there, water streaming off his hair, eyes wide with concern. I'm so glad I found you. Danny gasped, shaking droplets from his jacket. The storm's getting worse. I couldn't just leave you here. What are you doing here? Lila chimed in, her brow furrowing with worry. I came to check in on you guys, Danny said, glancing at Margaret with a slight frown. I saw the lights flicker and then nothing. I thought maybe his voice trailed off as he noticed the tension in the air, the way Jack's fists were clenched tightly enough to turn his knuckles white. That's enough of the small talk. Jack couldn't help but erupt, the pressure building within him like the storm outside. You know what's going on, Danny. My dad he's not who I thought he was. He's dangerous. And Margaret she knows things. Danny's expression shifted, eyes darting between them. Wait, what? Dangerous? How? What does he have to do with your mom? Jack stepped closer, the distance closing like a vice around him. He hurt her, he said, his voice low but firm. And I need to confront him. I need to confront all of this. A heavy silence fell. Danny's mouth opened then closed, as if words were swimming in his mind, but he couldn't find the right ones. Finally, he sighed, shoulders slumping. Look, man, I'm with you. If this is about family and truth, count me in. But this sounds serious. More serious than you know, Margaret interjected, her voice shaking slightly. You have to be careful. Your father he won't hesitate to hurt anyone he sees as a threat. Jack's heart raced, the weight of the conversation starting to suffocate him. What do you mean? If he has done this to my mom, why hasn't anyone stopped him? Why didn't she say anything? I don't know, Margaret whispered, her own pain resurfacing, making the air thick with tension and regret. Sometimes the fear of speaking out is greater than the fear of staying silent. Maybe she thought it was safer for you. Jack's jaw tightened. I can't accept that. It's time for change. Time to confront the truth, whatever it may be. He turned to Danny, who was processing the weight of everything being said. Are you with us? Yes, Danny declared, the resolve in his voice rising. I'm with you. But we need a plan. Finding your dad in this storm won't be easy. He is unpredictable. Jack nodded, and it felt like an unspoken bond solidified between them. In an instant, everything shifted. The stakes surged higher, charged with adrenaline and urgency. A harsh pound of wind rattled the diner, and outside, the rain became a rhythmic roar. Jack could almost feel the presence of something lurking in the storm, something he would have to face. "Okay, we need to think clearly," Jack said, steadying his breath. "We'll start with what we know. There must be something, some way to find him. And when we do, maybe we can protect not just your mom, but you too," Lila added softly, her concern palpable. "Right," Jack confirmed, his mind spinning with thoughts. "And whatever it takes, we're going to do it together." As reassurance washed over him, a sudden sharp crack of thunder rumbled overhead. The tension escalated again, wrapping around them like a living thing, as if the storm echoed the battle that awaited, and in that moment, Jack wondered, was he truly ready for the truth he sought? How far was he willing to go to protect those he loved? Just as things began to settle, the door swung open once more. A figure wavered in the doorway, expression obscured by shadows. "I'm looking for you, Jack." The voice rang out, cold and sinister, sending a shiver down Jack's spine. Whoever this newcomer was, they were not here to help. The air in the diner thickened as Jack's heart beat loudly in his chest. The stranger's voice, laced with malice, sent a wave of alarm through the group. Everyone turned to face the newcomer, whose silhouette barely cut through the storm's furious dimness. A feeling of impending dread swelled like the brewing storm outside. "Who are you?" Bill's protective instinct kicked in, stepping closer to Jack and shifting into a defensive stance. The stranger chuckled softly, an unsettling sound that echoed. "You don't recognize me? I'm Michael, your father's business partner." Gasps rippled through the diner, a murmur of disbelief as patrons exchanged worried glances. Memories of the ominous shadows that loomed over Jack's past clashed with the fear of an uncertain present. "What do you want?" Jack said, voice thick with defiance but trembling at the edges. Michael stepped forward, the harsh light revealing sharp features and a gleam in his eye that promised danger. "I'm here to warn you, Jack. If you think confronting your father is the right move, you're mistaken." Fear mixed with anger surged inside Jack. "You think I'm afraid? You're mistaken. I know what he did. I know the truth." The diner held its breath, tension buzzing in the air. Would Jack stand his ground, or would Michael's intimidating presence pull him under? "Your father has a way of handling loose ends, Jack. People like me, we clean up the messes they leave behind. And right now, that mess is you," Michael sneered, emphasizing the threat underlying his words. A chill ran down Jack's spine, reminding him of all the hurt and the painful choices he had made in fleeing from his father's shadow. "But no more." "Then bring it on." Jack's voice was a low growl, emboldened by a sense of purpose he had not known before. "That's the spirit," Michael mocked. "But don't be surprised when it comes back to haunt you when you lose everything." Bill stepped forward, fists set tight at his sides. "You leave him alone. If you're here to intimidate him, then you've got the wrong man." Suddenly, Lila stood by Jack's side. "What you don't understand is that Jack has a family now. We're not going to let you or him hurt him again." Margaret nodded, stepping up as well, determination radiating from her. "We're all in this together. You're the one who needs to be afraid." Michael's smile faltered slightly, an indecipherable flicker in his eyes. "You don't get it. His power runs deep. You may think you're standing strong, but you're just shadows in a storm. Those shadows will run dry." Jack felt a flash of resolve surge through him. "Not if we stand united." He glanced around the diner, locking eyes with each person who had become more than mere witnesses in his journey. They were warriors in their own right, ready to face whatever darkness lay ahead. As Jack faced Michael, he noticed the fear melted within him. He had ghosts to battle, but he was not battling alone anymore. They would confront Jack's father together, and this time, they would shine light into the shadows that had held them for too long. Get out. Jack's words rang with authority, echoing the strength he found in companionship. Michael hesitated, gauging the room, but the determination in their eyes was enough to hold him at bay. Fine, he sneered. But know that you've made a powerful enemy. I'll be back eventually. And with that, he stepped back into the swirling storm outside, sealing his fate with the sound of the bell as the door swung shut behind him. In the quiet that followed, Jack felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over him. It wasn't just the threat fading, it was the unison that had formed in that diner, a gathering of spirits ready to face the chaos and darkness that lay ahead. Friends, family, and newfound allies encircled him, each one a flicker of light against the oppressive shadows. And as he breathed in the weight of that moment, Jack realized he was no longer alone. They would fight together, and nothing could extinguish the courage that bloomed in that diner of hope and resilience. Whatever happens next, we're doing it together, he said, voice resolute. The patrons all nodded, and a sense of ownership settled over the room, bonding them for what awaited beyond those swinging doors. As Jack stepped out into the storm with his family behind him, he felt a surge of a hope that had long eluded him. This was only the beginning of a journey back to light. And he was finally ready to embrace every moment of it. This story of love and struggle connects us all. It's time for everyone to join in. So, don't wait another second. You need to subscribe to the channel now for new and exclusive stories. Leave a like to fuel this transformation and spread that positivity. Comment below with your thoughts, tell us how this journey resonates with you. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this inspiration. This is the moment to show your support and become part of this community. Join us in lighting up the darkness together.